On November 3rd, the city presented its draft budget. We've been debating it through committees over the last month, and this Wednesday, on December 8th, it came to council for review and approval. I want to thank the community for participating in the process, for engaging with me, sharing your feedback, your ideas. Take a look at some of our local priorities. It's important for the city to be modern, to be able to respond to community needs through taking the complaints to 311, but also being on the ground with bylaw services with the right resources. It's also very important to invest in affordable housing. We're spending $34 million this year in motels and shelters. We need to spend more, or at least the same number, in new housing this coming year. And we have the unique opportunity along the LRT lands. The city does own a number of land. We need to take climate action. There's measures we can take in our community. You can see behind me the importance of the pedestrian and cycling connections along Somerset, and connecting areas like Sandy Hill to the Byward Market can play an important role in those actions. And finally, we can take important actions in renewing our buildings, improving our green spaces. We have aging infrastructure, and there's opportunities to do much more. We hear from residents on the important and the pressures of addictions and mental health in our community. It's important that the city be on the ground and responsive and proactive in the challenges we face. I'm happy to see the city put in place a team starting in December. Now that pandemic has hit, we've seen really the impact of having too much of a wide street along King Edward, specifically also that the STO has come off of the corridor. It had a dedicated lane southbound, which is no longer needed. The time to traffic calm King Edward is now. We also have a plan for the Byward Market that was approved in early 2021. It's important to fund the plan, to support our local business community, but also to prepare the Byward Market for 2027, which is its 200th anniversary. In our community, reversing the transit cuts are very important. Spaces for youth, for programming on evenings and weekends. Investments in community health. East of the Rideau River in Vanier Overbrook area, we have no community health, and it's much needed to offer supports to families and seniors and newcomers. We also need to modernize our infrastructure, improve sidewalks, and specifically winter maintenance of sidewalks. The world has changed over the last year, and we need to react and invest in new and emerging priorities. I'm happy to see council put attention to the need to have a fourth element to a 911 call, which is a mental health and crisis response line, and have the resources adequate to that. There's been a lot of discussion. There's seed funding to organize that, but we really need to put that in place. Housing is one of the most important elements in our city. We have a waiting list of 13,000 residents, 2,500 residents, families live in shelters and motels every day. That's $34 million that we're spending in 2021 to keep people in emergency conditions. I've asked council to bump up the $15 million, which had planned for new and affordable housing, and match the $34 million. I didn't get the support for that. We also have an $11 million cuts to transit in affecting bus routes in our community. I tried to reverse that and unfortunately was unsuccessful. I'll continue to fight to see more housing construction, as well as better and improved transit services in our community. Climate change is real, and climate action is needed. It's great to see the purchase of 74 new electric buses this year, but we need much more investments to green our fleet, to build greener buildings, as well as to take tangible actions when it comes to active transportation investments, sidewalks, cycling lanes, and transit overall. As those are not maintained, it becomes much more challenging for us to see a complete network and support the goals of meeting the climate challenge ahead of 2050. I couldn't support the city's 2022 budget. Here's why. No increase to funding in housing. Currently, we're spending $34 million in motels and shelters, yet we're spending only $15 million in new housing. I brought a motion to bump it up to 34, which wasn't supported. We're seeing a cut to transit services of $11 million. That's essential services, that's routes in our community during the peak hours, affecting residents in our area. Climate action. Yes, we're seeing the purchase of 74 electric buses, but there's so much more we need to do to green our fleet, to greenify our buildings, and to invest in active transportation, sidewalks, cycling, network, and winter maintenance. We also have lack of spaces and programming for our youth, and as I've highlighted, the importance of investing in the Byward Market public realm. Those are, to me, ultimate reasons why this year's budget really didn't pivot to the realities that are now so obvious in our community and in our city.